All right, it's August 12th, and today we're diving into some really foundational shifts. I mean, we're talking about everything from rewriting the actual code of life to completely rewiring our global financial system.
So here's what's on the docket today. We've got scientists growing what are basically functional brain models in a lab. We have a startup that is literally, and I mean literally, making butter out of thin air. And the floodgates of corporate cash, yeah, they are bursting open and pouring straight into crypto.
So, first up, let's get into it. We're looking at breakthroughs that are really challenging our basic definition of biology.
And we just have to start with this headline because it sounds like it's been ripped straight out of a sci-fi movie. But it's real. Researchers have created what they're calling the world's first whole brain organoid.
Now, this isn't just some random cluster of cells. It's what's known as a multi-region brain organoid, or MRBO. And what the scientists did here is pretty wild. They grew all the major brain areas separately and then fused them together with a, quote, biological superglue. The results? A super complex structure with about 6 to 7 million neurons that actually mimics the neural activity of a 40-day-old human fetal brain. Just an unbelievable feat of engineering.
So you might be asking, why go through all this trouble? Well, the answer really comes down to this one single number, 96%. That is the absolutely staggering failure rate for drugs that target neurological disorders when we test them on animals. Think about it. We've been trying to cure human brain diseases using non-human brains, and it just isn't working. The potential here is just massive. With these organoids, researchers can finally and ethically study diseases like Alzheimer's or autism in real time on tissue that's basically human. This could completely flip how we develop and test new medicines, and finally let us move beyond these flawed animal models.
And this theme, this idea of reprogramming biology, it doesn't just stop at medicine. It extends right into our food system. So what if you could make butter? Not from a cow, but from the very air that's all around us.
Well, a startup called Savor, which happens to be backed by Bill Gates, is doing exactly that. They literally capture carbon dioxide right from the atmosphere, they combine it with hydrogen and oxygen, and then they use their own special thermochemical process to create fat molecules that are chemically identical to the ones in dairy butter. No animals, no farmland. It's wild.
And the environmental impact? It's just staggering. Savor's butter produces less than a third of the CO2 per calorie compared to traditional dairy. And get this, it uses just 1/1000th of the water. So this isn't just some new product on the shelf. It's a fundamental rethinking of food's entire environmental footprint.
You have to consider the scale here. Fat production, just on its own, is responsible for about 7% of global greenhouse gases. This technology takes one of our biggest climate problems, all that CO2 in the atmosphere, and turns it directly into a food staple you could have in your pantry. Okay, so from rewiring biology, we're now going to turn to rewiring the physical world itself. Our next theme is all about how data, software, and new energy models are completely reshaping our core infrastructure. First on the list, Tesla. They are making a massive play for the UK power market. And as you can see from this timeline, this is not some sudden whim. They have been laying the groundwork for years, getting a generation license way back in 2020 and building on all the experience they've gained in Texas. Now it's official, they've applied to become a direct electricity supplier to UK homes and businesses. So why now? What's the rush? Well, a huge part of the answer is this number right here. Tesla's car sales in the UK dropped by nearly 60% in July, with fierce competition coming from Chinese EV makers and, some political headwinds. Their core car business is definitely feeling the pressure. So this move is a really clear strategic diversification. Tesla is evolving. It's moving beyond just being a car company. What they're building is an integrated energy ecosystem, one that links your car, your home battery, and your solar panels all into one seamless, tech-driven utility. And it's not just our energy grids that are being rewired. A company called Xpand is basically applying that same logic to retail, pioneering this incredible idea of an autonomous store in a box. They just got a fresh $6 million in funding, and they're launching their very first store in Vienna. Now, these are modular units just packed with robotics and computer vision that can operate 24/7 with absolutely zero staff. As labor costs keep rising, this kind of model offers a totally new way to think about physical retail, one that's super scalable, super efficient, and always open. All right, for our final section, we are tracking a truly seismic shift in the world of finance. Simply put, crypto is going corporate. The era of institutional money isn't just on the horizon, it is here, right now. And we're seeing this trend hit on two different fronts. On one side, you've got the crypto exchange Bullish boosting its IPO target to nearly $1 billion, with huge players like BlackRock and ARK Invest buying in. That shows deep, deep faith in the infrastructure of the market. Then on the other side, you have these massive inflows into Solana ahead of what looks like a very likely ETF approval. This is creating huge new demand for the assets themselves.
And this trend? It's translating directly onto corporate balance sheets. I mean, check this out. SharpLink, for example, just converted a $200 million offering entirely into Ethereum, instantly making them the second largest corporate holder of ETH. And meanwhile, good old MicroStrategy just keeps on stacking, adding another 155 Bitcoin to its already enormous treasury.
The key takeaway here is simple, but it's incredibly profound. Crypto is not a retail-driven experiment anymore. Institutional capital is flooding the zone. They're now treating digital assets as a core part of corporate treasury strategy. And that's a move that fundamentally changes and matures this entire asset class. So when you look at it all together, from brains and butter to energy grids and corporate finance, we are watching software systematically rewrite the rules of our world. And it kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? As this trend just keeps accelerating, what's the last thing out there that can't be reprogrammed? That's it for today's Exponential News. To dive deeper and see how we're building in public, visit exponentialtom.com and join our community.